off. Là, elle est en...
Quand c'est allumé là, c'est on.
Ah, OK. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing. Hello, hello.
Êtes-vous paré pour recorder et tout?
Oui.
Tout est pareil?
Oui.
C'est toi qui peux regarder ça?
Yeah.
All right. So, j'étais-
Testing, 1, 2, testing. Great.
It's 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Before adopting the agenda, we have two items I'd like to add to the agenda. It is not the practice to add extra items at the regular meeting. First is 11.2. 11.12. Second for the Sainte Marie de la Pointe building, and 12.3 rural internet. So a motion to adopt the agenda as amended is in order. Moved by Annie, seconded by Yvon. All in favor, against, carried. Are there items on the agenda that would cause a conflict of interest? There are none. There are presentations. Point number 3. So Francine Thibault and André Leblanc for the CDENE. You should adjust your microphone as we agreed. Good evening. I will begin this evening. I'm the manager of operations for the CDNE Nova Scotia at Work, which is an employment center. We are part of the department's labor and post-secondary education department. Nova Scotia Works is a new trademark which has we are now known as Nova Scotia Works, a new trademark. So whether you're in Yarmouth or Sydney in the province, there are service centers of Nova Scotia Works everywhere in the province. I will talk to you a bit about our services, so that residents of Clare will know what is available. We have two objectives. The first is to help the people who are looking for employment to find employment. So those who are looking for work, we help employers with their recruiting of new employees. For those who are looking for work, the work we do with them is to help them look for a job and networking strategies. We supply information concerning the market for jobs. We help them with producing resumes and interviews. We also work with clients on career planning. Some people have no idea in what area they want to work, so this concerns career options. We also do assessments with standardized tools to set career objectives. We also do career counseling and orientation, and some clients require more exploration than others. Marie-Louise D'Entremont has a master's in counseling, and she's been working in this area for 30 years. She's in Argyll, but she travels to here, and we hire her when we need help in that area. The last part is we also work with clients who need to develop their skills. If they have difficulty looking for work, we can explore options for training, and we can also explore options for financing if they meet admissibility requirements. For employers, we look at recruitment and retention of employees. We have twinnings and connections with qualified workers. We do recruitment, retention, and development of the workforce. We can supply tools in human resources, including how to develop a work description. We can also give them information on the labor market and the government programs which exist. Our offices are welcoming, accessible, completely accessible, and inclusive to all clients, whatever their needs may be. We have a perfectly bilingual staff in writing and orally. Our services are free. They're financed by the Provincial Department of Labor, and we ensure confidentiality. And we are present here in the municipality of Clare and Argyll. We have an office in Church Point on the university campus in the Entrepreneuriat Center, and we have an office in Tuscot, which is also on the University St. Anne campus in Tuscot. And our Daniel Como is our career practitioner. He's with me here tonight. And I work 80% of the time with clients, 20% on administrative tasks. And Don Doucet is our representative in Tuscot, and our specialist in mobilization is Mr. Armstrong, and he's in both regions. And those are the services which we offer. Thank you, Mr. Warden, to receive us this evening. And our services are available not only in Clare, but as Francine mentioned, in Argyll, and in Richemont, and Inverness. My name is André Leblanc, and I had the good fortune to manage the service team in business and entrepreneurship. It's easier to say than CDENE. We have services to immigrants and immigrant entrepreneurs. These services are not particularly local, but they are available, and there's the service of community economic development, which is also available. Concerning the services in business and entrepreneurship, our consultation services in business are oriented to help help local businesses. We work with local clients to help them with the necessary documentation, either to make application for financing with banks, government agencies, and we also offer necessary support and we answer questions concerning how to start up a business, from the first idea to opening your doors. And all these services are mostly free, completely free. And you will also see that between the services for business and for workers, there's a lot of cooperation and interaction. I can tell you that in Clare, one example last year, for the year ending on the 31st of March, we played a role in grants received by local businesses for $720,000 in total. So that gives some idea of the work we're doing. We are also very fortunate to have a collaboration agreement with l'Université Sainte-Anne. This allows us to collaborate on projects that need support in research, scientific research, and for the development of new products, engineering required for innovation, or even aquaculture and its needs. Our role as a university center gives us access to members of all other universities in the Atlantic region in all areas of research, and this helps us to move ahead projects involving innovation. The Springboard network, which you may have heard of as NRC RAP, these are good examples of partnerships we have. To know the key persons is sometimes difficult, and we can help local businesses with that. We are often collaborating with the innovation laboratory of the university. That's the University St. Anne laboratory, which is twinned with Nova West Lab and Como Seafoods. These are the results of our collaborations. We also have a close connection with the Marine Research Center of l'Université Sainte-Anne in Petit de Gras, but that doesn't mean it doesn't offer services here. We have a good connection there as well. We are working very closely with the Department of Administrative Sciences at the university. And one project that we're working on, it is a research project of the needs for innovative businesses. We have done a survey which will be instrumental for the development of mapping for services and also for the creation of new services. Thanks to another cooperation agreement with the Acadian School Board, we have been organizing learning sessions, workshops, and in the Southwest. We've had 17 individual sessions last year delivered by members of the community. These are businessmen and professionals. Another service which has been experiencing a lot of demand, where young people from grades 4 to 6 create their own businesses and sell their products to the public. We've had 4 of these camps in Clare. If you haven't had the opportunity to see one of these camps, you might go to the sale on the last day of these camps. These are students in the 4th and to 6th grade. We've also had a contest for dragons. This is for grade 9 students from the Acadian School Board, including the Clare School Board, the Eel Lake School, the Chéticamp School, Petit de Gras, and also Pumcat. And this is expanding. This year, for the first time, the grand finale was in Chéticamp, and it was broadcast by live streaming, so that you may have seen it.
It is something to see. I remember when I was in grade 9, I did not have the chance to be in front of people to try and present a business. And over the years, some certain models and guides were presented for training for businesses, and they are all available for you if it's necessary. And as Francine mentioned, the networking, the entrepreneurship life, it works well with partnerships. We offer a variety of services, whether it be lunch and learn or formal presentations on different businesses to advance our economy. If you have any suggestions on certain topics to go forward with, let us know. We would be interested in developing some sessions on topics that you are hearing from the population. And again, if it is the Clare Chamber of Commerce or CBDC, the Credit Union, University, the CSAP School Board, you will see us often in collaboration to create activities. And we are convinced that it's a lot better to have partners than to work alone. So if you know anyone who wants to benefit from our services, please send them to come and see us. We have the office here in Church Point at the university, or give them our contact information, myself, Andre Leblanc, 769-3902, or Dale DeVoe, who takes care of the partnerships and entrepreneurship activities with the youths, 769-3901, or Alain Beliveau is our counselor in business, business plans, counselor, etc., at 769-3903. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions for Francine or myself, we are ready to receive them. Any questions? Councillor DeVoe? I saw on the screen that you work with Divert Nova Scotia. Could you talk a bit more about what you're doing with Divert Nova Scotia? Certainly, yes. Often a lot of our clients, whether it be in a region like ours, they are looking at the transformation of natural products or garbage, and this garbage is mostly destined for the dump or to just dump it there. But through Divert, we can find options to finance, options to reuse these products to make it more commercial. So it is something that we could resell. So this is the type of work that we do with cleaning up the garbage. For example, Councillor Yvon and myself are on the Waste Chop board, so that's why I'm asking. Somebody is now taking over the lobster traps, and they are working with things like that to work on. Yes, exactly. That is true. There are individuals, businesses who are looking at the transformation of the ropes for the lobster traps and the plastics that aren't recyclable. So we are working, yes, with that. Any more questions? Are you approached by businesses to talk about the lack of services offered by the municipality? For example, Riverside Lobster. Yes, we can talk about this. It's part of the discussion. It's difficult to fill all the workforce requirements. And it's the same thing in Argyle, Richmond, and Inverness. We all have the same problems, and certainly we have contacts with employers of the region, and a RESO has network has been set up. The person visited the businesses and talked about the services and how we can work together. So yes, it is something that we are working on. I mentioned earlier the services of economic immigration. There are certain teams there that can also touch these services. So there's a variety of things that we are aware of. For example, the fast tracking with Francophone immigrants. We are working closely with certain government departments. So these are other things that we can discuss with the business people. Anybody else? Any more questions? If not, I thank you for having made the presentation and talk about your services. Certainly, if people approach us, we'll know where to send them. Thank you. Next, we will go on to 3.2, Digby Harbor Port Association.
You'll have to put your mic, yeah, exactly.
Bonsoir tout le monde.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Warden, members of the council, thank you for the chance to present to you the expansion plans for the Port of Digby. I am Mike Gushu, and with me is Mr. Edwin Chisholm, and he is the General Director of the Port of Digby. We will talk about the port, but as you know very well, the fishing industry is very varied. Here in Clare, you are well respected in this sector for the repairs and the maintenance of boats and the treatment of fishing products. The Port of Digby has a relation with each of these. Today, there are more boats than before. When someone makes an investment of over $1 million, they must know that there is a place to unload the products. This evening, we will talk to you about our plans to accommodate the boats, and we have other initiatives to promote the economy of this region. But one of the goals of our presentation this evening is to ensure that the elected representatives are aware of our plans, and you will receive directly from our representatives.
That might pick me up from there. I guess to start our presentation, I just sort of give you an orientation to the Port of Digby. Maybe the busy time or the highlight of our particular year is when the scallop season starts to open the 1st of October. And District 35 in our area opens mid-October. So we start to see the boats mustering and the traps being placed on the wharf, baiting those traps, getting prepared for a season. So it's more of an optical, very evident peak period in our season. And finishing with a panoramic view of how busy it can be in Digby if you haven't been there recently. Certainly Digby is the largest port on the Bay of Fundy. It has, as you go up the bay, it's the last port that has water at low tide, so we're called a wet port. So a significant factor for us. We serve communities from New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, up the New Brunswick coast as far as Alma, all through the Bay of Fundy, down around the South Shore, even as far as Shelburne, and some boats from Cape Breton regularly, yearly, coming to fish, especially District 35. We have 7 Indigenous communities that fish out of our port, primarily in District 35, but a presence. Location, location, location. We are a good spot as far as being proximity to the fishing grounds, a protected port, and room to expand as well. So we'll talk more about location later. The established credibility of the port. The Digby Harbour Port Association is a not-for-profit and has 10 years under its belt. A number of projects successfully completed, on time, under budget. That credibility just gaining momentum as we move into the future. And we have potential to become what we've coined as a super port. Looking at the larger potential of the port, more than just the fishery, what other sectors can we play a heavy role in? So that's the theme of tonight's presentation. Landings in the port of Digby are certainly a regional economic generator. 720 jobs in the fishery alone, $47 million annually to the Nova Scotia GDP, gross domestic product. Landings at the port, $77 million annually. That's primarily lobster, scallop, and aquaculture. The indirect services and supplies are distributed throughout because of Digby can anywhere from the bait, which is a big expense in the lobster industry, fuel, which certainly all the boats are consuming, groceries, insurance, repairs, repair and maintenance, all those things that filter out into the greater community, vehicles, a lot of indirect. And there's a multiple there. I'm not sure what the multiple is, but it certainly increases that 77 million dramatically. And we're a partner in the tourism for the town of Digby. Anything that happens in and around the wharf, so we have the Wharf Rat Rally. A lot of the directors and stuff, that's a regional group. A lot of people, I think, from down the shore across to Bridgewater that sit on that group to make it happen. The Scallop Days, I guess, one of the key initiating festivals in Digby. Lobster Bash, a new and upcoming strong festival that we're engaged in. Part of our community outreach is dealing and helping those successful festivals. And I think Digby is part of the social fabric, the wharf itself. Nautical map, you see in the upper left-hand corner the Bay of Fundy, and then the Annapolis Basin giving us protection, and Digby located in the bottom of the screen, and the room to grow within that region is again a bit of a unique feature in some of the ports around. Some of the background, in 2008, the community rallied to purchase the wharf. Took it over at that state. A number of the directors put up financial commitments to make that happen. And those of you that may have been around in the area at that time, it was in a state of disrepair at the time. There was an uphill battle to make that happen. And we've certainly, as I mentioned earlier, accomplished a number of key projects to bring that facility back up to speed. One of the first orders of business in 2009 was to have a Cormier Consulting and Fundy Engineering do a 10-year business plan. And as part of that, we redid the inner harbor with floating docks and a breakwater that was protecting us from those nor'east winds, storms, which are our nemesis. And it's saving us tens of thousands a year in repairs by having that breakwater in. About $12.3 million invested in those two key projects to date. Those projects were, again, on time, under budget. In fact, we were able to, marketplace conditions allowed us to save enough money. We could do extra small projects within the scope to get more done with the same money. So we're quite proud of that. The port is sustainable. In other words, our operating funds and minor to medium-sized repairs we can do ourselves. Our berthage fees that we charge are in the order of 10 to 12 times higher than what somebody would experience in many of the small craft harbors wharves, but that's because we are a not-for-profit. We're not within the small craft harbor umbrella, so we have to pay our way. So that's sustainability. And our capacity is one of the key topics tonight. Our capacity to hold boats, and as the boats grow larger and larger, is surpassed. the increased demand with more vessels, but the larger vessels, meaning we can actually accommodate less numbers, is another key theme for tonight. Our design, we feel, is designed for about 77 vessels, and in red it shows you the months that we've had more than that many boats in over the month. So for the last almost 3 years, it's just about all red. So we're running into this excess number of vessels, and that's one of the key pushing factors to why our business plan was brought about. 77 vessel design was based on two vessels either side of a floating dock. And in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen is the outer L of the wharf where we tie in the strings, more the old-fashioned way of tying them up. And I'm not sure we can put 5 vessels side by side any longer, but that's where the 77 comes from. How do we deal with that surge? Well, we have to triple up where we can. And because those vessels are wider, we can't triple up on both sides of a floating dock because there's no longer a channel down the middle. So we have to, once we get filled on the inner harbor, we have to start stacking them out to the easterly. The breakwater has helped us, but we are susceptible from southeast winds, and it gets quite a chop in there. It's not an ideal situation. When that happens, everybody has to muster around on the inside, and it makes quite a cluster for a short period of time until we get it straightened back out. So our overcapacity situation drove some deliberation, some planning to examine the safety aspects and how do we solve that problem. Our mode of operation to date has been trying to accommodate the boats and the fleet that comes up our way without turning them away. So we looked at expansion became one of the logical factors, and other, because I talked about the superport, other sectors. What other sectors can we deal with? So my board took on the idea of a new business plan and looking at these multi-sector approach. 10-year business plan, we put out a request for proposal. CBCL is an engineering firm out of Halifax. We're the successful tenderers. They did a subcontract to another firm called CPCS for the economic analysis side, and they looked at those sectors more than just the fishery. Tourism, how can that be affected? Aquaculture is a big, one of our biggest client, in fact, is the aquaculture firm. Shipping, tidal, recreational boating, what made sense, what could be incorporated into our plan. Their recommendations were expand the facilities to accommodate the increased boats and the larger boats in particular. In order to do that, there was a dredging project because we'll see in the design later, but to expand the wharf means we got to make a channel around it. So that dredging part, and including the marina, because the marina has had some siltation over the 20-plus years it's been there, and it's running at currently 60% capacity due to siltation. That dredging project is estimated in the order of 230,000 cubic meters. We can reuse 130,000 cubic meters of that, 60% so to speak, and create some land base to the north of our facility, another 5 acres of commercial area. So that's appealing. Entry into the eco cruise market. The Annapolis Basin is underutilized. We have occasional cruise ship. We have one coming in on June 4th. We've had a small line visit us a number of times in the last couple of years. Growing that market, that niche small cruise ship market is something that we're well suited for, and we have some experience in putting together packages with them. Commercial and recreational boat launch. The Annapolis Basin does not have a low water access boat ramp or boat launch. There's a few that, very few, a couple that will get you in the water, but not at low water. So some of the influential people like the emergency measures would love to have, DFO, RCMP would love to have low water access when they need it, that they can actually get into the basin. And the last item on the list was a multi-purpose building on that newly created 5 acres. We can move our office to the side of the complex. We have maybe some tourism panels, interpretive panels for the fishery and the geography of the area, and some meeting space incorporated into that. This is what the concept plan looks like. So I'll try to describe it from a distance, but what you see on the right-hand side of your screen, the dashed line in green outlines the outside edge of the dredge area, so allowing for the expansion. The expansion of the wharf is on the right-hand side of your page, where they're doubling the length of the what we call the end L, and 2 new strings of floating docks going in more or less a left to right orientation. Dredging, as you can see, that green line incorporates or encompasses as well the marina to bring them back up to speed, because they've had traffic back and forth from St. John. Some of the flotillas have come across, but not in recent years due to the siltation. So opening up, giving them capacity as well. You may notice on the right-hand side as well, just a space there for those micro cruise or echo cruise lines to berth and with some floating docks, so that right now, to accommodate them, we have problems with the gangways having to be moved like this over a 24-hour period. It does not put us at the top of the list as far as what they're looking for. On the left-hand side of your screen in the tan color is the 5 acres or so of infill area, trying to reuse some of that dredge material required for doing the larger project. This has the ability to, again, bring us into a multi-sectoral approach, opening up the Annapolis Basin to more recreational boating, access for the various emergency measures organizations. The plan lends itself to 4 phases. The first phase being the engineering design. The permitting alone, you can imagine what a mountain of paper is going to be required to make that happen, but the permitting is expected to be a year or so, and the engineering to get it started. The second step would be the dredging component and the infill. They have to happen at the same time because they're logically aligned. The third phase, logically, would be the expanding of the hard structure, the wharf itself, and the 2 new floating docks. And the fourth phase, finishing off that infill area, the topping of it, dewatering, boat launch goes along with that, and the multipurpose building that I spoke of earlier. Estimated Class D cost at this stage is $35 million and projected over 6 years, depending on funding being available. We see it primarily as a federal project. Again, we don't fit under the DFO umbrella, but our past funding that's been that avenue, and we're hoping that would be the result at this stage as well. So in summary, location, location, location. Again, for the number of reasons why we are a good choice, a good location for expansion. Our proximity, protected harbor, and the room to expand. The demand, the vessels, and the berthage required to accommodate the growing fishing fleet, and the boats are only getting larger as some of our more traditional scallop draggers are retired, as their life expectancy is gone. They're going to be replaced with those wide lobster-style boats as the new scallop boats even. Preparation, we have our business plan, engineering plan complete, so we're at a stage to move forward. And we're certainly looking at building the political support, seeking capital through the federal government, and making sure that everybody's on the same page. So certainly the theme of tonight is the information or education process, making sure that everyone's aware of what we're planning and generating support for that as well, because it's a case of seeing this plan as a larger regional benefit, certainly to the area. If I may say, when the stars align, I think there's opportunity to do great things for the region, and I'm hoping that this is certainly one of them. We have the opportunity to expand Digby into the super port category, to service the expanding fishing fleet, provide industrial space for repair, maintenance, or other type activities. We're currently looking at this COVE venture out of Dartmouth, as whether we're a satellite on research that could take place in the Fundy region. Opening up the eco cruise market that I mentioned earlier, and tourism in general into the Annapolis Basin, and the recreational boating possibilities for that area as well. Certainly this is one of those unique times when preparation meets opportunity. we're prepared, our plans are ready, and I think the opportunity is there. We're certainly asking for your help to recognize it as a project and speak favorably of it as well, and see it as a big picture item. If there's any questions, I certainly would like to entertain you.
Y a-t-il des questions? Are there any questions? Councillor DeVore.
Ask both, and then it's easier. One is the marina part of the wharf, and my other question would be right now, if like for talking cruise ships or right now, how large a ship could you accommodate right now? Like let's say tomorrow morning, how large a ship could you accommodate?
Okay. First question was Marina. Marina is a separate body, separate not-for-profit organization. The synergies were there, and when we applied to do our business plan, it was heavily encouraged because of the dredging being similar to align and do a comparable project that would serve both entities. So that's one of the reasons they come in under this project. We do have representation on our board from the Marina because they're an adjacent property and certainly a stakeholder in the town. So we are closely aligned, but we're not in a business sense or a entity sense. Just trying to gather my thoughts. The second question was
Size of ship.
size of the ships, mostly currently to do with draft, depth of water. That face, that end L of our wharf is about 100 meters, 300, almost 300 feet long. So that length, but it's more to do with the depth we have 6 meters or so on one end, 3.5 meters on the other, and it depends on the tide cycle, but you know they like to have a little bit of a buffer there. So right now it's the depth that is our hinge factor. That end area, the plan is to dredge that to 4.5 meters consistently across the end to again put us into that marketplace.
What capacity right now? And don't forget the Balmoral.
In the past, we've had some larger vessels, and quite often they'll anchor off in the basin and tender in small boats is the mode of handling a larger vessel like that. The ones we've had alongside of the wharf lately was the, I'm searching for the name. Anyway, they're about 100 to 150 person vessel. So large mega yachts is another market that's being promoted out of Halifax waterfront developments, seeing Nova Scotia as a destiny for travel and or repair. So, I mean, that type of large mega yacht is something ideal to us. We could easily accommodate them. The addition of a floating dock is very much in the forefront of making that happen because, again, with a 27-foot tide or so average, it gets to be problematic with the gangway.
Any other questions? Other questions?
Just first of all, it sounds like a project that would certainly benefit Digby and surrounding communities. How many boats are you looking to accommodate with the extension of the wharf? Approximately 30, if I understand? Yeah.
The increase was from 77 to 108, so yeah, 131, is that 30? I can't do the math. 31. 31 or more, I think, yeah. And I think, as your comment to start with the regional aspect, I certainly, when we talked about the added benefits more than just the 77 million landings, I mean, some of our key clients are within this area, be it Riverside or AF and part of our project information put forward, we've been to visit Como Marine and AFT, Riverside, to make sure they're on side, and everybody's very supportive. So it's, again, hoping to see it as this larger, greater package regional project. Thank you.
D'autres questions? Other questions?
there are. We will now go on to the adoption of minutes. 4.1, April 18th, 2018, regular council meeting. Any errors or omissions? Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just for the section 8.3, there was an omission last sentence that was not included in the minutes, and if you allow, I will add it in English. Presently, it reads,
discuss this important. There should be another sentence immediately following which states, following Stephen.
So that is 8.3. If I remember correctly, the council had decided to send a letter of concern. So saying that, any other errors or omissions? If not, a motion is in order. Moved by Councillor Hill, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, motion is carried. 4.2, May 2nd, 2018, Council in Committee meeting, any errors or omissions? If not, a motion is in order. Moved by Councillor Poitier, seconded by Councillor Hill. All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, motion is carried. Item 5, business arising from previous council meetings. There is nothing there. The Warden's activity report, item 6. On April 19th, I attended to the volunteers banquet that was at the Clare meeting. I think you were almost all there. On April 24th, I attended a meeting with Wang and from the China Business Bureau of Nova Scotia and the president of Université Sainte-Anne to discuss the opportunities between Taichung and the municipality that we have signed a friendship agreement with. And a lot of the discussion was about the cultural exchanges, especially with the Clare High School. So as you can see in the agenda later on, we have a motion to send a letter to invite. We'll discuss it later. On April the 22nd, I attended the meeting at UARB to determine the electoral district in Clare for the next municipal elections. Again, you were almost all there. So the UARB accepted the application of the municipality to keep 8 districts with some minor changes to the boundaries. On May the 3rd, I attended a meeting of réseautage organized by the Clare Health Council of Clare at the golf course in Littlebrook. On May the 9th, I attended to a meeting of the Harborside Lodge in Yarmouth. And on the 11th of May, I attended the meeting of the Governor's Council of Université Sainte-Anne. Any questions? If not, we will go on to official statements, item 7. Any official presentations? Councillor DeVoe? I know there will be some repetitions, but on April the 19th, I attended to the volunteers banquet. And on the 26th of April, I attended to the meeting with the UARB also. And on May 3rd, I attended a session or a meeting on the Clare Health Board, which was at the Golf Club. And from the 10th to the 12th of May, I attended a workshop session with the NSFM in Yarmouth, which was really a good weekend. On the 12th of May, I attended also the graduation, the diplomas that were given out at Université Sainte-Anne with a reception following, which was really good also. And I just want to announce that the 60th wedding anniversary of Bernadette and Omar Blin will be on May 24th. And I ask that we send a certificate to Mr. and Mrs. Blin. Thank you. Thank you. You all agree with sending a certificate? Yes? Any more official presentations? I would like to wish a happy wedding anniversary to Anne and James Terrio from Hectanuga. They are celebrating their 50th anniversary on May 18th. And also a good happy birthday to Edmund Thibodeau, who will be 90 on May 22nd. And if you can send them also certificates, it would be appreciated. Do you all agree to send certificates? Yes? Any more presentations? Okay, we will go on to correspondence 8.1, Emergency Measures Program Evaluation. If you remember, we had a presentation from EMO regarding the evaluation of our plan, and this is the formal letter from the department following that evaluation. If you allow also to add to the letter, I spoke with Mark Doucette earlier this week, and he informed me that unfortunately and for personal reasons, he will have to quit the position as coordinator as of June the 20th. That being said, we have the intention of advertising the position, and Mark, as well as Mr. Mitten of the province, are saying that they will be ready to help us with the transition. I want to simply say also that it was a pleasure to work with Mr. Doucette, and we regret that he is leaving. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Maybe we could send a letter to Mark Doucette on behalf of the council to thank him for his services. Do you agree with that? Yes? Who will take care of, there are areas that we have to address for certain things. to improve the plan, who will take care of that? In the last few years, it was Mark and myself. It was something that we did inside here, and that we are doing in communication with the province. And Andrew Mitten, we work close with him, and the intention is when we identify a replacement for Mr. Doucette, that work will continue, and we will continue to address, like Andrew mentioned in his letter, there was a lot of work that was done in the past 2 years to put our plan up to date, and there is still a lot of work to do. So we will continue to identify the priorities from that list. Any more questions? If not, we will go on to 8.2, advertising request from the Acadian Federation. Marie-Claude Rioux. Mr. LeBlanc, this year the Acadian Federation of Nova Scotia is celebrating its 50 years, and they will celebrate this at the annual meeting on the 18th to the 20th of October 2018. Such an event is prepared several months in advance, and we are working on the annual report of the Acadian Federation of Nova Scotia, and in collaboration with Le Courrier, the souvenir book will be available to every people present. So we are looking for the work of the preparing, the editing of the book, and we need the support in advertising. If this is interest you, you will find in enclosed as well as the past copies, and we are hoping for a reply by the 18th of May. Please, yours truly, Marie-Claude Rioux, Director General. So the reason why I want to bring this is it's to underline that the FAN is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and that deserves to be mentioned, and also to see what is the desire of the council regarding this request for advertising. It's inside my job, but my recommendation and that of the staff is that the FAN is an important partner, and we recommend that we have an advertising in that souvenir booklet. Councillor Como, I second the recommendation, but what is the desire or the recommendation? Is it like a full page or half page? That we have not. I looked at it quickly with the different formats, and a full page is $250 or $500 for the full page, $250 for a half page. It's not a big amount, and the $500, if we put it in the annual report and the booklet, it will give us 2 tickets if we want to participate at the banquet. So my recommendation would be for $500, because the Acadian Federation is an important partner with Clare for the promotion of the French, but they are also with us with the discussions that we had on the discussions on the writings. We are the only municipality that operate essentially in French, so I agree that we should support them because they are there to support us also. So I don't think we need a motion because it's in your mandate. And we will go on to item 9, the Chief Administrative Report.
I will try to do this briefly. Church Point Sewer Treatment Plant, we are still waiting for estimates. We, in consultation with EXP, we haven't had much progress so far on this system. but it's scheduled to take until the end of November. For the sewer extension on the John Thibodeau Road, that project is now underway. The manhole was installed on Route 1 and will tie into the existing sewer. All the work required to be done will be along the John Thibodeau Road. They've begun their work on the main road. It shouldn't cause any problems. The laterals have been drilled, 8 in total. The installation of the pump station is underway. The project is going ahead per schedule. It should take about 8 to 10 weeks, according to Aberdeen. There have been no problems so far, so they should be on schedule. The cultural hub, the work has begun. Crack filling, painting on the first floor is being done. We are waiting on quotes for the cement slab for the sign at the entrance to the hub. For the 250th anniversary of Clare, the Facebook has been posting new postings every day. There will be a brochure that will be mailed out shortly by mail. The commemorative wine is in production. The outdoor exhibit for Big Clam, we have received 2 detailed submissions from artists for the Big Clam. Our internal committee will evaluate them in the coming week, and they will be presented at the council committee on June the 6th, and they will go under capital budget. Also under the Clare 250, we have a grant for $35,000. We're still waiting on a word for the $35,000 grant for the lighthouse in Cape Saint Marie. We had to postpone the opening. 2 things contributed to this. The ground was too wet and the monument was too heavy. The Heritage Monument people who are knowledgeable in this area, we judged that it was not recommended to go ahead with the installation. So the opening will be later this summer when things are drier. So perhaps the end of June, early July. And we hope for the attendance of MP Colin Fraser, and a number of details that need to be finalized, and we'll now have extra time to do that. We are waiting on estimates for certain work that needs to be done. These are suggestions that were brought to us by some council members, and we are exploring these. And this will be dealt with on the June 6th meeting. The sign for Highway 101 has been made. We're waiting on its installation. The St. Bernard Fire Department, the work is going ahead there. The trusses have been installed and the roof as well. The bay floor for the truck has been poured. The framing for the rear extension is complete. Crack filling and painting within the existing building has been completed. The ventilation system has been installed. The security system is in the process of being installed. And the 31st of July deadline is expected to be met. so things are going ahead well. For the Major Point Road, I met a representative of the group and an interested resident of Church Point. I'm waiting on an email this evening concerning questions from the group concerning the process to be followed, especially for the consultation. I'll be dealing with that very shortly. It's a matter of what the outcome of the vote will be. The Grand Fondo now, as of May 15th, we have 267 registrations, including 70 from out of province. For the Mini Fondo, which is new for children aged 5 to 12, we have 26 participants. Our goal is 100 participants. Once again, the focus is a long-term one. We want to make it a weekend event. We have distributed new maps and posters at Saltscapes on the 20th, 22nd of April. And we are going into digital marketing in partnership with Tourism Nova Scotia, targeting out of province. For the Metegan sewer system, we are waiting on news on the outfall pipe. We have been contacted by Infrastructure Canada in the province of Nova Scotia. That tells me that they are considering our application. One new thing, Rendezvous Canada FAM Tour. Tourism Nova Scotia coordinates familiarization tours with Rendezvous Canada. This is an international trade expo held in Halifax. This is a big event on the 18th of May as part of Rendezvous Canada. Rendezvous La Baie will be hosting a tour with 19 operators. This was asked for by Tourism Nova Scotia. They approached us and they concentrate on touristic products. So it's Chantal Suet will host and guide this tour. They'll be meeting at the church and go through the interpretive center, the Petit Bois, the lighthouse on Church Point, and they will be given a summary of other Clare area attractions. As I said, there are 19 travel agents, 6 from China, 5 from Canada, a couple from Canada, United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Pakistan. Larry Peach says this is an excellent opportunity and good exposure, great exposure. Financially, as of 30th of April, the municipality had revenues of $7,261,016, with expenses of $657,405 for a net income of $6,603,611. To the $7,261,000 is recorded as revenue, although we do not have all of this money in the bank right now. But for accountability purposes, we are counting it as revenue. As of 30th of April as well, we had a balance of $164,17 in our general account, $67,711 in the capital fund, and our total reserve of $4,163,330, an operating reserve of $441,361, capital reserve $2,653,205, the landfill closure reserve $319,409, and the gas tax reserve at $749,355. For meetings now, since the 18th of April, UNSM, the CAO CEO Forum, April 19th to 20th. I met members of the Nova Scotia Health Authority on the 23rd of April at the Veterans Centre concerning staffing. The UARB hearing on the 26th of April was mentioned earlier. And following on the meeting that we had two weeks ago and the presentation of Erin Como of Western Como Regional Library, I met with Madam Como and Gary Sullivan at the Metegan Library to visit the common room and the structures to see if there is anything which needs to be improved or worked on, and that is following on the presentation by Madam Como, and we will be presenting our recommendations. The work to be done is fairly minor, but this will be mentioned at the meeting of the 17th of June. I also had a meeting with Tim Barnes, an engineer with the Department of Municipal Affairs, and we were meeting with the treatment plant in Church Point in Metegan. Mr. Barnes was very satisfied with what he saw. The projects are essentially completed, and he identified no problems. Upcoming meetings. CAOs will be meeting tomorrow concerning fire dispatch in Yarmouth and what the different municipalities will be offering as a solution. We will be discussing this further on in the agenda. The Clare Health Foundation has its AGM on the 30th of May, and the FCM will be meeting on the 31st of May until the 3rd of June, and the CDENE will be meeting on June the 5th, and the MANS Spring Conference will be from the 13th to the 15th of June, and that's my report. Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you. We move on to 10, committee reports. Construction permits, Councillor Hill.
April 2017 were 24 permits issued for $560,000 worth of construction. And for April of 2018, it was 14 permits for $375,000. And the year to date, as of April last year, we were $1.381 million. And of April this year, it's 2.561. So still ahead of last year. Looks like another good year coming.
Yeah, very good. N'as-tu des questions? Ensuite, allons la...
Are there any questions? We go to 10.2, Highway 101 Committee.
We only meet 2 or 3 times a year, so phase 1 is what they're on now, and that's the highway from Digby going to be the 101 going to the Digby Neck Crossroad. That's only phase 1, and all the money is lined up for phase 1. They don't have any money lined up for phase 2. And the way they're talking now, they plan on having pave on the ground in early fall. They said they're going to put 2 levels of pave this year and 1 level of pave next year. After it settles, I guess is a reason for it. And something that a lot of people don't like, the Digby exit is going to be a roundabout. I know there's a lot of discussion on it, but the guy from TIR claims they're a lot safer. You know, if you get T-boned, you're not going to get hurt and all that, but there's still a lot of people that don't like them, but that's what they're going with. I just wanted to give a small update.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Councillor DeVaux?
The four-wheeler or whatever bridge that they put over is that part of the
That's part of the
of,
plan,
of the
phase 1.
plan of phase 1? Yeah. Okay, so it is part of phase 1.
They
Yeah.
want full access for four-wheelers is what they want.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Marché.
Thank you. We'll go on to 11 under new business. Fire dispatch services. I will speak in English because my notes are all in English.
An approach Clare has by virtue of the fact that 4 of our 8 fire departments does get fire dispatch services provided to them from the town of Yarmouth. So as it stands now, the way we're set up in Clare, Southville, Havelock, St. Bernard, and Littlebrook receive fire dispatch services from Digby. Richfield, Hectanuga, Salmon River, and Meteghan receive fire dispatch services from Yarmouth. So that's why we've been included as part of the discussion and asked, or invited to participate in the town of Yarmouth's upcoming RFP process. So right now, we've looked around just internally just to see what's available in terms of dispatch services. First, whereas Digby was already providing dispatch services to us, we contacted Digby to see what their capacity was to take on more fire departments, specifically 4 more, and just to see if there was a willingness. Because my understanding in speaking to some of the fire departments who are serviced by Digby now is that they're very pleased with the service they're provided. So in speaking to Bruce Snell, who heads up their dispatch services in Digby, he's certainly they certainly have the capacity and they're prepared to take on the 4 additional units from Clare if that is the way we wish to proceed. That being said, right now the issue of pricing, the pricing that he can't offer the same price that Yarmouth offers, but I think what's being shown in the media lately is that what's being paid in Yarmouth now is not sustainable, and that's the whole reason for this exercise. That being said, there was a lot of miscommunication that we've discovered with regards to what the expectation of pricing would be from Digby. There were some concerns expressed to us that it would be 3 or 4 times the price of what Yarmouth was currently charging them. In speaking to Digby, he's shown us the price breakdown. It's done basically, it's based on call volumes, annual call volumes. And, 0 to 20 calls per year is a certain amount, 20 to 40 is another, and so on and so on. Or 20 to 50, I forget, but it's basically a tiered approach. So just using the call volumes that we from 2016, which is the most recent I had at the moment, I was able to establish what an estimated price would be. And yes, it is higher than Yarmouth, but only slightly higher, and certainly not 3 or 4 times what they're currently paying in Yarmouth. So that being said, I've reached out to Nick Power at the CFFA just to consult with them on the idea of if recommending the 4 other departments move their dispatch services or acquire their dispatch services from Digby. So essentially we would have a Digby County or all 8 municipal units using the same dispatch services provider. Nick liked the idea. Certainly, again, he echoed previous comments with regards to the level of service we were currently receiving from Digby. He's since had conversations with other departments. We've learned that Meteghan is certainly would be receptive to moving that as well. And I believe Salmon River is also prepared to do so if that is the way it plays out. I know that again the CAOs are meeting tomorrow to discuss this issue, and the CFFA is having a meeting at the end of this month, I believe. And the issue of fire dispatch is on the agenda. But I think the recommendation will be, or my recommendation to council would be that we strongly recommend a Digby, a unified, if you will, Digby solution for the municipality of Clare. And just to put it in context, I've verified with 2 other dispatch services providers, Valley Communications and Bridgewater Lunenburg. And they have similar approaches. Valley Communication is a bit different in that they offer, they have the one formula which is based on the number. It's a weighted average over 3 years of the number of calls each department receives. or they do one which is population-based, so it's driven basically by populations from the latest census information, and then a flat rate is charged to the municipality as opposed to each individual fire department. So in speaking with Nick, and I think we're on the same page, and I think other fire departments are as well, and certainly the 4 that are with Digby, to my knowledge, are still very pleased with Digby, would be to recommend that the remaining 4 switch over their dispatch to Digby. And again, keeping in mind that the dispatch services are paid as part of their operational funding, which we provide them. And secondly, in speaking to Nick, and we talked about the possibility of exploring the idea, because if everyone is with Digby, rather than having dispatch services send monthly bills to 8 separate fire departments, we could potentially, if it's feasible, to have them rather send that bill directly to the municipal unit. We would pay that as part of our shared services. It wouldn't mean more or less operating funding. It would simply mean administratively it would be less of a burden on their volunteers who have to pay their invoices monthly, whereas we have a finance department with the capacity to take care of that as well. So that's something I mentioned to Nick as that we may want to explore together. Certainly no commitments made yet, but he seemed very interested in that idea. And again, just keeping in mind, we have shared services in terms of radio licenses, as well as the compressor, I believe, which is currently housed at the Littlebrook Fire Station. So the idea of shared services with the municipality is not something new. And again, if we have one dispatch service provider for the entire municipality, it would potentially open the door for adding that as well to the list of shared services, which I think administratively would remove a bit of a burden, albeit a small one, on the volunteers of each of those departments. So that's essentially where things are at now. It's still a work in progress. The reason I mentioned it tonight, and the reason the CAOs are meeting tomorrow, is that Yarmouth was hoping to issue their RFP on Friday, and wanted to know which municipalities were interested in participating as part of the RFP process and which weren't. So we've asked, the municipality of Yarmouth has asked if that Friday deadline can be extended. And obviously I would certainly support that, because it would give us time to continue to follow up with the 4 fire departments which are affected. But as it stands now, my recommendation would be to pursue dispatch services through Digby.
The question.
Talking about the other day, and I think that's the way it should go anyway. And having us to pay the bill, I think the firefighters would love that, actually. One less hassle for them to do. So you haven't spoken to Richfield? Is that the only one you haven't spoken with?
I haven't spoken to Richfield directly. I've spoken with Hectanuga prior to a meeting that took place last week. There was a meeting announced for regarding dispatch services. It was marketed as or promoted as a meeting for the fire departments and for fire chiefs and association members. So I spoke to Mr. Muse from Hectanuga prior to that meeting, and again, the concern at the time was on the issue of pricing, and that they were under the impression that their costs would go up significantly should they move from Yarmouth to Digby. At the time, I didn't have the information to provide Mr. Muse on the pricing I received from Digby, but we know that right now what they're paying in Yarmouth is certainly going to go up as a result of this exercise. The model or the pricing structure they have now is certainly not sustainable, and the price will go up, and almost certainly will go up. So I do have more information which I can provide, and Nick of the CFFA does have it's his intention to have this on the agenda for the upcoming meeting in the next couple of weeks.
Any more questions?
All to be all in one through one dispatch on the fire scene is way better than having 2 separate dispatchers, because you have one department with one dispatch and the other one with the other one. It's not working. It doesn't work well. It works, but it's not the best. one of the reasons why we do have some departments like the ones towards Yarmouth, with Yarmouth Dispatch, and the ones the other end with Digby. Years ago, when we started going with those dispatchers, Yarmouth wasn't pushing enough power to the departments from that end, from this end, let's say, so that's why they went to Yarmouth, and the ones from that end went to Digby because they were pushing. But now it doesn't work that way. Now they go through towers, so now there's no problems with who's pushing what. So I think it would be very wise to go with one dispatcher being the Digby dispatch for sure.
If I can, that's similar to the story I heard because I asked the question, being relatively new to this, why are we split down the middle 4 and 4? And the reason that was given was that this dates from quite some time ago and was due to equipment limitations of the time, and that's certainly no longer the case. So there's no need, I should say, to be split in both directions. We can be on one side or another, or we could be further out if we so chose.
As-tu d'autres questions?
Any more questions? You all agree with the recommendation presented? To explore this, of course. Okay, we'll go on to 11.2. 11.2, bursaries, cultural exchanges with the city of Taichung. I put it there, and I'm not looking for a decision tonight, but the China Business Bureau came at the school, at the Clare High School, and they were looking for a cultural exchange. And one of the things they're looking for is they're looking for a student from Nova Scotia to go for a semester in China, because in China it's the same curriculum as Nova Scotia. That's what they use. And the question was asked to me if there would be a student from the municipality, if from grade 11 or 12, who would be interested in going to China for a semester, would the municipality be interested in giving a bursary? Because we have a friendship city with that town, and we could build on that relation. I am not bringing this tonight for a discussion, but have it in mind. You can think about it. And when I have more information, we can add it to the committee and council. Council and committee, I will have more information. It will not be a big bursary, but we could use that as advertising with Taichung to say what we are doing at our end. So I can leave that there. If you have any questions, I'm ready to accept them. 11.3, motion to send a letter to the mayor of Taichung. This is a fact. There are 23 students. I had said 27, but I had some emails since. There are 23 students in grade 10 who are coming to Canada, and 2 teachers with them. And from what I understand, they will go to Toronto, Halifax, to visit, and they are coming to the NBCC in Cornwallis at the conference center. And what they are looking is at the weekend of July 7th and 8th, they are looking at coming to the municipality of Clare for the weekend. And as we speak, they are trying to organize this. But for those students to come to the municipality of Clare, we need a letter of invitation from the municipality. We discussed it at the council and committee, but we need a motion to send a letter of invitation to send to China. Does anybody wish to make the motion? I move that the council for the municipality of the district of Clare write a letter to the mayor of the city of Taichung and to authorize the visit of students from Taichung in Clare in July 2018. Does anybody wish to second that? Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, no. Motion carried.
11.4, motion pour augmenter to increase the contribution for the monument, for the Lost to Sea monument. Sorry. This is following on the presentation of our financial director at the council and committee meeting. We were looking at the project concerning the monument at Cape St. Mary. There was a bit of confusion internally concerning the support. At one point it said 15,000 and in the budget it said 25,000. I looked into the question and I wondered where the $10,000 increase came from. The monument is essentially completed but not installed. So to advance the project, we are pretty well obliged to increase our contribution by $10,000. So that's what the motion amounts to, increasing the contribution from 15,000 to 25,000. Is there someone who wants to make the motion? Councillor LeBlanc. I move that the Council for the Municipality of the District of Clare increase its contribution for the Lost to the Sea monument from $15,000 to $25,000, and that these funds be taken from the capital reserve. Is there a seconder? Councillor DeVoe, is there a discussion? All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.5, motion to adopt the new proclamation policy. We talked about this at the last meeting. It's a policy which several municipalities throughout the province have. There are a lot of requests to proclaim various things, so we have decided to adopt a policy to the effect that we do not make proclamations. This is a common practice, and it's no reflection on the organizations or the causes supported by the organizations, but it requires a lot of time on the part of the council, and there's the administrative work on the part of staff, and it would be simpler to simply be able to inform that our policy is not to make proclamations. Is there someone who wishes to make the motion?
Of the District of Clare adopt the new proclamation policy as presented.
Is there a seconder? Councillor LeBlanc, is there a discussion on the motion? All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.6, motion to pass a resolution in support of the Government of Nova Scotia's effort to implement a province-wide ban on single-use plastic bags. This follows on a presentation by Waste Check. The province is looking at the possibility of banning single plastic film in Nova Scotia, and has been surveying municipalities concerning their attitude. The province is leading this effort, but they need the support of municipalities. So Waste Check considers that Region 7, which includes 6 municipalities, including Clare, has asked its 6 member municipalities to indicate if they support the plastic film policy. The 5 others have all supported the ban and have formulated resolutions to be communicated to WasteCheck. Clare is the 6th and last municipality, and the recommendation is that we support the proposed ban and that we introduce our support for extended producer responsibility throughout the province, because we are 2 provinces in Canada, Nova Scotia, and I'm not sure what the other one is, who do not yet have EPR, and it's a source of revenue. Is there someone to propose the motion? I move that the council for the municipality of the District of Clare pass the resolution in support of the government of Nova Scotia's efforts to implement a province-wide ban on single-use plastic bags as presented. Is there a seconder? Councillor LeBlanc, is there discussion? All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.7, a motion to award a grant to the High Seas Choral Festival. We have discussed this at the council and committee meeting. This was an application that was missed when we did grants to organizations under the budget. I had the letter addressed to me personally. There was a copy to me, and it became lost in the exchange. The council discussed this at committee and council and committee, and we decided to grant the $300. So is there someone who would like to make the motion? Councillor Doucet. I move that the council for the municipality of the District of Clare award a grant in the amount of $300 to the High Seas Choral Festival. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hill. Is there discussion on the motion? All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.8, motion to write off a total of $5,258.92 in accounts receivable. This is a recommendation from our financial staff. Doing a review of our accounts, we identified accounts for a total of $5,258.92, which date from 2011 to 2017, and for various reasons are believed to be uncollectible. They made attempts to collect them. The amount, I support this recommendation. We would thus write off this amount of $5,258.92 from accounts receivable, as mentioned in the motion. Is there someone who would like to make the motion? Councillor Poitier. I move that the council for the municipality of Clare write off a total of $5,258.92 in accounts receivable dating from 2011 to 2017, believed to be uncollectible. This amount can be broken down as follows: $4,428.92 in tipping fees, $230 in ad revenue from doers and dreamers, and $600 in sponsorship revenue for the Interpretive Center 2011. Is there a seconder? Councillor DeVoe, is there discussion on the motion? All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.10, a motion to name 11.9, Motion to use digital maps in all upcoming municipal elections as the official description of the district. During our hearing with the UARB, one of the questions that was asked of us at the end of the hearing, they asked us to confirm our intentions with regard to the next election and future elections. At present, we used a written description of all the 8 districts within Clare. This works, but it opens the door to various errors and confusion concerning the polling stations where people should go to vote. So throughout the province, various municipalities are using not written descriptions, but electronic maps. You go to the website, you click and you put in your address, and you learn who your councillors are and where you need to go to vote. This is more modern than what we have now. So talking with Stantec, this is something that they can help us with, and according to John Hazeltine, it is not very expensive. So the recommendation to the council has been made to go ahead with electronic maps. Pam Doucet, who has been our returning officer in the past and who has used written descriptions, she, in her capacity as returning officer, supports the recommendation of going to digital maps. This avoids a lot of possibility for error. Is there someone who wants to make the motion? Councillor Hill.
Especially this year because of all the boundary changes, I think it's a really good year to do it. I move that the council for the municipality of the District of Clare use digital maps in all upcoming municipal elections as the official description of the district.
Quelqu'un qui appuie ça, appuyez par...
Is there a seconder? Councillor Portier. Is there discussion? All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.10, motion to name a road Madison Mill Road. Do you want to speak on that? We have a motion to name road Madison Mill Road, Chemin du Moulin, Madison. The staff followed the process, the process indicated in the policy. There are 14 residents. All 14 were contacted. 12 are in favor. 1 is not in favor, and 1 did not answer. But we have more than the 2/3 required by the policy, and the proposed name respects the other terms and conditions of our policy. So our recommendation is to go ahead with the naming of the road. Councillor Como. I move that the road shade by the properties with proper identification numbers which follow 300195413, 3001932, 302011875, 300200390, 30017036, 30371751, 30018519, 30020598, 30017545, 30022537, 30015291, 30019566, 30019285, 30020309, 30201826, 30019657, a 30019582 be named as follows. in French, Chemin du Moulin, Madison, in English, Madison Mill Road. Is there a seconder? Councillor DeVoe. Inaudible remark. Microphone not on. Is there discussion on the motion? All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.11, motion to award the tender for the repairs at 7951 Highway 1, Comoville. As you know, we are proceeding with the second series of renovations to the hub within interior modifications. We went through a tendering process. We evaluated the 10 submissions, and the recommendation is to give the contract to Malor and Saunier Contracting in the amount of $60,500 plus HST. Councillor Poche will make the motion. I move that the Council for the Municipality of the District of Clare award the tender for the repairs of the cultural hub situated at 795 Highway 1, Comoville to Malor and Saunier Contracting Limited in the amount of $60,500 plus HST to be funded from the municipality's capital reserve. Is there a seconder? Councillor DeVoe, is there a discussion? All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. 11.12, letter of support for the building of Sainte-Marie-de-la-Pointe. Yes, the Société Édifice Sainte-Marie-de-la-Pointe is in discussion with the diocese to take possession of the St. Mary's Church to convert the church into a monument to the Acadians. It would be a monument to Acadians. To do this and to help with discussions with the diocese, we were requested to write a letter of support. And Councillor Thibault is a member of this société. The société also supported l'Université Sainte-Anne for a similar letter. And I am told that the letter agrees, that the university will agree to write such a letter. Since it's part, not entirely of, anyway, this is a complementary infrastructure to the university. It's used, for example, for the graduation, which just took place. So they will be getting a letter of support from the university. And the question now is whether the council, municipal council, would also prepare a letter supporting their discussions with the diocese. Is there a discussion on this request? Councillor DeVoe? A small point. I was at the graduation on the weekend. I was sitting in the nave, and I was wondering where graduation could take place other than there. There's the gym, of course, but it's a perfect place for ceremonies like that one. So I was thinking, what would happen if if something happened to the church? It's a very good place for ceremonies like the graduation. Are you in agreement to write a letter to support the efforts of this organization? Is there someone who would like to move that we move to write a letter? Councillor Poche, Councillor Hill. So essentially the motion is not written, but is more or less to support the efforts of the Société Édifice Sainte-Marie of Church Point to go ahead with their efforts with regard to the diocese. It's essentially to take possession of the church and to transform it into a monument, to take possession, to support their negotiations with a view to taking possession of the Church Point Church, l'Église Sainte-Marie, and it would become, it would no longer be a church, but it would be a monument to Acadians. Are you ready for the question? All in favor? Against? Carried. 12, in-camera session. We have 3 items. Clare Veterans Center. Clare Veterans Center, 12.1, 12.2, dangerous and unsightly, and 12.3, rural internet. Those are the 3 items that will be seen in camera. So I wish good evening to those of us who are listening to us on the broadcast. Proposed by Neil, seconded by Yvon, to pass into in camera. Carried.
Confirm.